Welcome to Podcast Summaries, where every week we break down powerful ideas from 8 to 10 top podcasts to help you grow, heal, and thrive while saving time. If you find this summary helpful, please subscribe. Your support keeps this journey going. Here is a rundown on number 1 Happiness Dr. Dayoff. The Hidden Symptoms Stealing Your Joy and How to Get It Back, featuring Dr. Judith Joseph by Rich Rolls. Rich Rolls was struggling to sleep and waking up in the middle of the night, feeling anxious and restless. He was working on a book, had a podcast to manage, and was preparing for back surgery in 2 weeks. Despite his high-functioning nature, he felt like he was running on empty. Dr. Judith Joseph, a guest on his show, believed that Rich's struggles were a sign of high-functioning depression, a condition where individuals cope with their emotions by busying themselves.
Dr. Joseph explained that high-functioning depression is different from burnout, which is an occupational hazard that can be alleviated by taking time off. People with high-functioning depression, on the other hand, will continue to find ways to stay busy, even when they're not working. They feel empty and restless when they're not productive, and they often use busyness as a way to avoid dealing with their emotions.
Rich Rolls shared that he had taken a quiz in Dr. Joseph's book and had scored high on the questions related to high-functioning depression. He realized that he had been using his busyness as a way to avoid feeling anxious and restless.
Dr. Joseph explained that anhedonia, or the lack of pleasure and interest in things that used to bring joy, is a key sign of high-functioning depression.
Rich Rolls shared that he had been feeling numb to his experiences and had been struggling to feel joy and gratitude, despite having an incredible life.
Dr. Joseph explained that this was a common symptom of high-functioning depression, and that it was often accompanied by anxiety and tension. She emphasized that it's difficult to feel joyful when you're anxious and tense, and that it's essential to address these underlying emotions in order to access joy. The conversation turned to the topic of trauma, and Dr. Joseph explained that trauma is not just limited to big, life-threatening events. She shared that small traumas, such as emotional experiences, can also have a profound impact on a person's life.
Rich Rolls noted that everyone has experienced some form of trauma, but it's how our brain processes it that matters.
Dr. Joseph emphasized that it's essential to acknowledge and validate our experiences, rather than trying to outpace or compartmentalize them. Dr. Joseph shared that she had experienced trauma in her own life, including a painful divorce. She explained that she had felt guilty and ashamed, despite knowing that these feelings were not rational. She emphasized that it's essential to challenge these core negative beliefs and work through them in order to heal. She encouraged listeners to take the time to process their emotions and work through their traumas, rather than trying to busy themselves away from their feelings. She notes that the word trauma can be loaded, and some people may not acknowledge their experiences as traumatic. However, validating these experiences can help individuals understand how they've been impacted and start to make changes.
Rich Rolls points out that the word trauma can be triggering, and Dr. Joseph agrees that it's been overused. However, she emphasizes that acknowledging painful instances can be validating for individuals and help them understand why they're coping in certain ways. This can also help them take shame and guilt off themselves and start to change.
Dr. Joseph describes how high-functioning individuals with depression often have anxious energy, wake up early, and don't nourish their bodies. They may eat unhealthy foods, drink excessive coffee, and neglect their basic needs. They're often not present in their relationships and may struggle to relax at night, leading to a lack of joy in their lives.
Rich Rolls asks about the difference between someone suffering from high-functioning depression and someone who has a challenging life due to circumstances.
Dr. Joseph explains that depression can affect anyone, regardless of their socioeconomic status. She uses the biopsychosocial model to understand how biological, psychological, and social factors can contribute to depression. While someone with a challenging life may face more social stressors, they can still access moments of joy. Dr. Joseph notes that high-functioning individuals often have a powerful drive, but this drive is fueled by fear, which can be linked to trauma or other root causes. This fear response can lead to anxiety and a sense of control.
Rich Rolls suggests that identifying the locus of this fear and deconstructing it is essential in treating high-functioning depression.
Dr. Joseph shares her personal experience of coming to the U.S. with little and how she tied her self-worth to her accomplishments. She emphasizes the importance of sitting still and reflecting on one's past to understand the root causes of their behaviors. Dr. Joseph discusses the concept of masochism, which is often misunderstood as being related to sex. However, masochistic personality disorder is a condition where individuals incite others to treat them poorly and don't believe they're worthy of praise or pleasure.
Rich Rolls highlights the importance of recognizing that these errant behavior patterns serve a purpose and are often linked to conditional love.
Dr. Joseph emphasizes that setting boundaries with others and oneself is crucial in breaking free from these patterns and finding joy. She shares her personal experience of resisting therapy, but eventually finding it helpful in understanding her own behaviors and making positive changes. She realized that her people-pleasing nature was contagious and affected those around her. This epiphany led her to explore the concept of high-functioning depression, which she believes is often misunderstood. High-functioning depression is different from clinical depression, as individuals with HAD continue to function and perform well, despite feeling unfulfilled and unhappy. Dr. Joseph notes that this type of depression is often linked to unresolved trauma and low self-worth. She emphasizes the importance of acknowledging and understanding these underlying issues to create change. Dr. Joseph's personal experience with high-functioning depression began when she was working as an anesthesiologist. She recalls feeling overwhelmed and unfulfilled, despite her outward success. It wasn't until she had a moment of clarity during a talk she was giving to a hospital system that she realized she was depressed. This realization sparked a journey of self-discovery and a desire to help others who may be struggling with similar issues. The concept of high-functioning depression is not limited to high-powered professionals. Dr. Joseph notes that anyone can be affected, including single mothers, educators, and entrepreneurs. These individuals often feel like they can't slow down or take a break, even when they're feeling overwhelmed. Dr. Joseph's approach to addressing high-functioning depression involves teaching people the tools they need to recognize the symptoms and signs of mental health issues before they break down. She emphasizes the importance of being proactive rather than reactive and encourages people to take small steps towards slowing down and prioritizing their well-being. In terms of the brain, Dr. Joseph explains that high-functioning depression is not just about a lack of certain neurotransmitters, but rather a lack of healthy connectivity and neuroplasticity. She notes that experiences like meditation and mindfulness can help change the brain and improve emotional regulation. Dr. Joseph acknowledges that it can be challenging for people to accept the idea that they need to slow down and prioritize their well-being. She notes that high-functioning individuals often feel like they need to keep pushing themselves to be successful, and that slowing down can be seen as a threat to their identity. However, Dr. Joseph emphasizes that slowing down doesn't mean stopping altogether. Rather, it's about making small changes to prioritize one's well-being and create space for joy and pleasure. She encourages people to start small, whether it's taking a few minutes to journal or simply taking a bathroom break during a busy day. Dr. Joseph also notes that women, particularly women of color, are more likely to experience depression and anxiety in the workplace. She attributes this to the pressure to perform and distinguish themselves in male-dominated environments. Ultimately, Dr. Joseph's message is one of hope and empowerment. She encourages people to take control of their mental health and well-being, and to prioritize their happiness above all else. By acknowledging and understanding the root causes of high-functioning depression, individuals can begin to make positive changes and live a more fulfilling life. These groups often face unique challenges, such as the pressure to be career moms and caregivers, as well as the weight of personal traumas and societal aggressions. As a result, they may feel like they need to wear a mask of pathological productivity to keep up, even if it means sacrificing their own well-being.
Rich Rolls notes that this phenomenon is closely tied to the science of cellular aging, and he's found that using products like Skin can help to improve skin function and reduce the visible signs of aging.
However, he's more interested in exploring the psychological aspects of this issue, and he asks Dr. Joseph to introduce the 5 verses that she's developed as a tool for addressing it. Dr. Joseph explains that the 5 verses are validation, venting, values, vitals, and vision. She starts with validation, which involves acknowledging and accepting one's emotions, rather than trying to push them down or deny them. This can be a challenging process, especially for people who are used to suppressing their feelings, but it's an important step in building self-awareness and reducing anxiety.
Rich Rolls notes that this process can also help people to reframe their stories and challenge negative self-talk. By acknowledging and validating their emotions, individuals can begin to see themselves in a new light and develop a more compassionate relationship with themselves.
Dr. Joseph agrees, and she shares an example from her own life. She recently had to give a presentation to a group of world leaders, and she found herself feeling nervous and uncertain. However, by taking the time to validate her emotions and understand the underlying causes of her anxiety, she was able to calm herself down and deliver a successful presentation. The next V is venting, which involves expressing negative emotions in a healthy and intentional way. Dr. Joseph notes that venting is not the same as trauma dumping, and that it's essential to approach it with a clear intention and a willingness to listen to others. She also emphasizes the importance of self-venting, or talking to oneself, as a way of processing emotions and gaining clarity.
Rich Rolls asks about the role of values in this process, and Dr. Joseph explains that values are essential for giving life meaning and purpose. She notes that our values can change over time, and that it's essential to take the time to reflect on what's truly important to us. By doing so, we can begin to align our actions and behaviors with our values and cultivate a sense of joy and fulfillment. The next V is vitals, which involves taking care of one's physical and mental health.
Dr. Joseph notes that this includes traditional aspects like sleep, movement, and diet, as well as non-traditional ones like our relationship with technology. She emphasizes the importance of being mindful of our screen time and taking steps to reduce it, as excessive screen time can contribute to anhedonia and depression.
Rich Rolls asks about the incidence of high-functioning depression in our current moment, and Dr. Joseph notes that there isn't a clear way to measure it yet. However, she points to a recent study that found that limiting smartphone use can have a significant impact on joy and happiness. She also notes that the Zoom culture and the constant stream of information on social media can contribute to feelings of disconnection and loneliness, which can fuel high-functioning depression.
Dr. Joseph emphasizes the importance of being intentional about our screen time and taking steps to reduce it. She suggests that Zoom should offer an option to turn off the self-view feature, as it can be distracting and stressful. By validating our emotions, venting in a healthy way, aligning with our values, taking care of our vitals, and cultivating a clear vision for our lives, we can begin to break free from the cycle of high-functioning depression and live more authentic, joyful lives. She explains that the pressure to constantly be on and presentable on camera can be overwhelming, especially when combined with the cultural expectation to be constantly connected. This can lead to feelings of anxiety and stress, which can detract from our overall sense of joy. To combat this, Dr. Joseph suggests taking breaks from screens and engaging in physical activity, such as using a standing desk or taking calls while walking. In addition to these practical tips, Dr. Joseph emphasizes the importance of planning joy into our daily lives. Dr. Joseph also discusses the importance of pharmacological interventions, such as antidepressants, in treating depression. However, she notes that these medications should be used in conjunction with other forms of treatment, such as therapy and lifestyle changes. In terms of her own research, Dr. Joseph is currently studying the effects of psilocybin on postpartum depression. She believes that this type of research has the potential to provide new and innovative solutions for treating depression, particularly in mothers who are struggling to connect with their children. Dr. Joseph also shares her own personal struggles with balancing her work and personal life. She explains that she has to be intentional about setting boundaries and prioritizing her relationships with her loved ones. In terms of public health communication, Dr. Joseph emphasizes the importance of doctors being able to effectively communicate their expertise to the public. She notes that this is a skill that needs to be taught and practiced, and that it's essential for combating misinformation and promoting public health. She believes that this is a positive development, as it allows doctors to connect with their patients and share information in a more engaging and accessible way. She provides practical tips and insights for managing stress and anxiety, and highlights the importance of effective communication in promoting public health.
Rich Rolls notes that not all scientists and medical doctors are as effective at sharing their expertise in a way that engages their audience. But Dr. Joseph is a natural. She has a way of making her message land, and it's clear that she's passionate about helping people understand the science behind happiness. When Rich Rolls asks Dr. Joseph what she would prescribe to someone who comes into her office struggling with anxiety, anemia, and a lack of sleep, she doesn't give a typical medical response. Instead, she tells them to start by thanking themselves. She believes that self-validation is the key to unlocking happiness, and that it's essential to start small and practice it every day.
This might sound cheesy to some, but Dr. Joseph insists that it's crucial.
If you can't validate yourself, how can you expect to get validation from others? Rich Rolls is clearly moved by Dr. Joseph's words, and he thanks her for sharing her insights. He notes that he's going to take her advice to heart and practice self-validation, and he's grateful for the opportunity to meet her and learn from her. The conversation is a heartwarming and inspiring exchange between two people who are passionate about helping others find happiness.
Dr. Joseph's approach is all about empowering individuals to take control of their own happiness. She believes that by starting small and practicing self-validation, people can begin to unlock the science of their happiness.
It's a message that resonates deeply with Rich Rolls, and it's clear that he's been inspired by their conversation. As the conversation comes to a close, Rich Rolls thanks Dr. Joseph again for sharing her wisdom. He celebrates her work and invites her to come back and share more of her insights in the future. Dr. Joseph is grateful for the opportunity to share her message, and she appreciates the chance to connect with Rich Rolls and his audience. Thank you for tuning in, please. Subscribe, check out YouTube channel, and just remember, subscription is only £1 or $1 per month. Leave a comment or review. Until next time, happy listening.